Hey, my friend Andy here. I want to welcome you to my productivity mini camp. Just want to say a quick hello, give you a few minutes on what to expect and how to get the most out of this program. Now, what you're going to be experiencing this week is a combination of some videos that you can watch on demand, as well as a live show that we're going to cap it off with on Thursday. So, depending on when you're watching this, but if this is Monday and you're starting the program with me on Monday as we go through our on-demand videos Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I'm going to be sending you an email each day with a newly released video that you can come here to the watch page and take that in. I'm also inside the email lessons going to give you documented lessons of some of my best productivity tips and techniques. And then we'll get together on Thursday so I could teach you a little bit more in a live fashion and also take some of your questions, because I know you're probably going to have a lot of questions and challenges as you try to implement some of these tactics. Now, where's this coming from? A couple of years ago, I put a full-fledged training program together on all my productivity techniques. I talk about how I drive my entire life and my business using master lists, then how I plan my weeks and my days according to the projects on those lists, then how do I effectively run my day, how do I actually operate projects in general, and then energy. How do I maintain a high degree of energy? And then we capped it all off with a full-blown assignment, basically a challenge, so to speak, to implement a lot of these practices. What I wanted to do life is challenging, work is challenging. We're facing issues we've never had to, and problems and challenges we've never had to deal with before. And so I wanted to bring a free version of my premium program to the world. And so what I decided to do was take about a 20-minute lesson from three key lessons: how I plan my weeks and days, how I run my day, and how I run my projects, and show you some of the best techniques inside of those lessons. So what you're going to see as you head into the first video is I'm going to start right in with, here's how I plan my week. So it's going to start very quickly. There's some insight that I tried to include in the email to give you a running start. But just so you know, that's how the videos are structured. And then we're going to come together on Thursday, and I'm going to teach some more, kind of bring it all together, even add some new lessons into that portion of the training this week. And if you ever throughout the week want the full productivity challenge, there's a couple of ways to get it. I do offer the program individually. You can buy it and have lifetime access to it. That's $297. But a very modest way to get at this is and have access to it is to be a member of my leadership coaching program. You can join on a monthly basis and try it out and have access to the full productivity course. See if you'd like that, and a lot of the other lessons that I've included in the very vast leadership library that I have. There's some details on the page. You can click the button and check that out. I don't want to get into too much of that right now, but I do want you to know that if you really like what you're seeing this week, you can certainly get more of it. Now, I want you to get in. I want you to have fun. I want you to make sure that you have our email address, support@milewalk.com, on your safe list so you actually get the emails. If you have any questions or you're having any trouble with any of the content or any of the material, you're welcome to email us at support@milewalk.com. Now I want to get you into that first video. Remember, I'm going to start right away with here's how I plan those weeks and days. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope to see you Thursday at the live show. How you do it. Okay, so there's mechanics here. I start with a template. I'm going to show you the exact templates that I use, that I've created. There's nothing fancy. I handwrite the damn things every week. So I have a template in my mind because I use this on a paper product. The only thing I use electronically are appointments. So I have people on my calendar for next week, so the week of March 15th, depending on when you're watching this, that are already booked in for coaching sessions on a Tuesday, a Wednesday, a Thursday, and so on. Well, I already have them there. I know those are previous appointments, and we try to get them in my mental templates, preferred slots of when I want to do coaching based on, does it give me energy? And it does. I like to do my coaching sessions in the afternoon because it gives me energy and it's fun to interact with people, and all the creative stuff that I do in the morning, which really requires me to think about what I want to say to you, how I want to say it, if I'm building a program, if I'm, shooting a video, whatever it might be, has a different time slot. So I start with a template. I'll show you exactly what I mean. I preload the appointment. So I already know I've got 6 or 8 coaching sessions next week. They're probably somewhere in the afternoon if they're with people in the United States. They're probably somewhere in the morning if they're with people from Europe or Germany or the Far East or wherever they might be. I have a doctor's appointment at a certain time on a certain date, right? That stuff can be preloaded. Then I look based on my due dates, right? If I have something that's due on a Monday next week, I work backwards to when do I need to have certain things done? When does the team need to have certain things from me in order to make all this work? And then I make sure, have I invested the amount of time that I like to invest each week? Where does that time go? Sometimes that's on the weekends, but that's okay. But I think about that and then I fill in the rest. That's how I do it. I'll show you exactly what I mean here in a second. I just want to make sure you understand that there's a protocol and a sequence into the way in which I do this. And then where I put it. Here's a little joke for you, but visibility is 90% of the battle, and then the clock is the other 90%. Right? You hear people talk about, well, you should always have your goals visible to you, and you want to make sure that you can always see them. Well, the same holds true for your calendar. And I know we live in a digital world, but I personally find it it's a far easier thing for me to do if I've got everything in one spot and I can move it from my electronic, my notes, my calendar, my whatever, into one spot that I can rely on to work with. So I think you also need to see it. I've tried things like Evernote and just about every other, touted digital planning tool. And I can never find everything I need, where I need it, when I need it, with the paperwork I need to do what I need to do. Right? So I rely on the paper to help me navigate the digital world. I like it in one spot, and it needs to be with your calendar. So that's one of the reasons I love that Best Self Co planner, is because I can pull together everything in one spot with the calendar, with the paper calendar, so that I can see a month at a glance, a week at a glance, and so on. So that's where I put it. And like I said, everybody's got their personal preferences. Now, I think in terms of 3 steps. I want to get it into a workable format. I want to load my template, and I want to fill it in. Then I want to fill it in. So here's the major areas that I think you need to categorize in order to ultimately get the pieces you need into a workable format. So what do I have now? Now we're moving to the time frames. Okay, now we've taken list-based stuff, project-based stuff, and we're moving it so that we can think in terms of the clock. We can think in terms of the calendar. We never lose sight of what needs to be done. Nothing ever slips through the crack because it's all in one place. It's all visible to you, right? You have it in one spot. So I think about the immediate week. I think about the near term. That's the moving stuff along. I think about all of the ongoing, you call it whatever you want, the repetitive stuff, the maintenance stuff, the routine check-ins, the whatever. Then I think about, okay, for each day that I'm going to look at in this week, I have very important tasks or most important tasks that are going to be allocated to certain days of the week. Sometimes that might be an ongoing activity, right? Like my Tuesday newsletter is really important to me. It needs to go out without a hitch. And I would like to respond to people on my YouTube channel if they are so nice to go watch my video at Tuesday at 6:30. I sit there and I wait for the comments, right? Kind of thing. All right, that's an appointment I make with them. I have stretch goals each day. This is where we're getting into on the borderline of a to-do list for the day where you got umpteen things that you have a pipe dream of accomplishing that never get accomplished. But I still go to the trouble to write them down in a certain spot in the workable format section of my planner. And then I have the unique, not day-specific stuff. So I have probably like a running column of things that I can do on different days, and I might slide them throughout the week. So what does all this stuff look like? Okay, now, this, you're going to have to use your little imagination here, but remember last week where I showed you that I have a Best Self Co. I don't know if you can see this. Don't worry about it. I didn't even fill all this side in yet. But basically, there's 2 pages that are blank. They happen to be right after the 2 pages that outline the calendar of the week, the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and so on. But I got 2 dotted pages that are completely freeform, which is what I love. Because here's what I do. I get a ruler, and I literally, I kid you not, I've got a 12-inch ruler that if I could actually pick up right here, it literally sits right here on my desk, and it's really hard apparently to get out, and I have to use one of my note cards. But I take this silly stinking ruler and I draw lines in my dotted booklet. Now the thick line in the middle, basically that's the spine of the book. Then what I do is I literally write on the top of it, okay, I got 2 pages here. This is for the week of March 8th. Okay, what's immediate? What's got to get done? What's the near-term stuff I got to move along? What's the ongoing stuff that I absolutely have to do this week? And in this column, I also throw in, well, what are those coaching sessions that I still need to schedule and all that other stuff that I have to do? What are my most important tasks? What are the stretch goals? And then is there anything that's unique to the day or not specific to the day that I need to make sure I keep in mind? Then I literally take my 6-inch ruler and I draw lines to separate the days of the week. I have no idea if anybody's ever done this before. This is just what my little brain does so that I can find everything. So, okay, here we go. We got this productivity thing going on this week. This thing's like a mile long, but I grabbed a half a dozen or 8 of these. I got to have the slides done. The email reminders got to go out. Stacy's got to have the social media. The product post in their training, it has to be built. That thing is already built. It's loaded with the downloads. The video slots are set up. All my notes are in there for you. Any of the slides are already in there for you. The product announcement that you're going to get when I load the video after this is already done for everybody in this group, right? All that stuff has to be done. Now, that has to be done before today, right? Or I could do it today or tomorrow or the next day, but I like you to get the stuff right away. Anyway, it all goes in there. Well, I got a boot camp thingy next week. All right, well, I have to prepare for those people too. That's like 10 days from now. All right, well, it's not due this week, but I have to spend time this week going through the Milewalk Academy, revisiting the comments and the questions they asked me. I go through my checklist of the umpteen coaching sessions I've had this past month. I collect all of the hot topics that that I talked about with those people. I have to do all this stuff to plan all this stuff so that next week on Friday when I show up for that coaching session, it's all in order. But it's not due this week. But I need to keep it in mind, and I need to keep it in the forefront of my mind. And then we're building a YouTube membership as an example. Well, I don't have a deadline on this thing. So Stacy and I are kind of moving this along. There's some other things I want to do. I want to try to make my live office hours a little more fun. I want to try to give people who are avid followers on the channel something. I want to do something extra or whatever. I've got to figure out that stuff, even though it doesn't have a deadline yet, but I want to start getting things in motion. I already started doing something yesterday. I already started doing so. You got a digest coming out tomorrow. You got a digest coming out Thursday. I got resumes I got to review that people paid for them. They're in the queue and I have them. I got coaching people who need coaching sessions who have not yet been scheduled. Then what I start to do is I start to move it into the days. What do I already know is important on those days? Well, I got a team planning status meeting usually on Mondays. I don't have one today because I'm in here with you, right? I need to get John's resume done because John's waiting for the resume. But if I can get Sonny's done today, that would be really great. But it's still within the window of what we say whenever somebody enrolls, how long is it going to be? So I have to keep that clock in my head. All right. So I go through this with each day of the week. All of these people I know are on my calendar. They haven't yet been loaded into the time slots yet. So this is just me collecting. That's all I did. I took activities off my project plans. I took activities off my strategic plan or my master plan or my whatever it might be. I looked at, is there anything that we decided needed to be done this month, or we were going to get to a certain level of completion or a benchmark or whatever. And then there's all those things I worked really hard to do. My ongoing coaching services, my ongoing training services, people are enrolling in this. So I get all that into one spot. Then what I do is I have I turn the page in my booklet, and then I have a 2x2 that covers the 2 pages, which covers a bunch of stuff, but it basically goes, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So I got all 7 days. I can see them. But I know that every day at that time at 4:30 I meditate. I know every day at 5 o'clock I go through my excellence planning. I do some visioning of the day. I think I'm going to go into more of this in the next session, but I know that's the slot. I know when the post-day planning is. It's at 6 o'clock or so each day, unless I'm in a coaching session or it's Friday. There's no way in hell I'm spending time planning at 6 o'clock. I'm smoked, right? Kind of thing. I know I got a team meeting. I know I got live office hours. I know almost every week on Friday I have some kind of live group coaching thing. Rarely do I have one of those off. I occasionally have a Friday off. But a lot of times, right, your leadership sessions are on Friday. We have the boot camper sessions on Friday. Sometimes I do other things on Friday that are group coaching related. I know the workouts got to go in there. Now, tinkering with my energy levels, I know that if I had my druthers, my workout every day would be at 10:30. It would, because I know that I like to work out then eat, but I know I'm faster in developing things that I have to create super early in the morning. Like, I looked at how much I could get done from, say, 8 to 10, and then I looked at how much I get done between 5:30 a.m. and 8 o'clock. It isn't even close. I could get a whole day's worth of work in the 2 hours that precede 8 o'clock. As far as thinking, writing, building your product, any of that stuff. The most ingenious ideas, well, the ones that I think are important and valuable to you, occur very early. The sun is not up yet. It's not out yet. Kind of thing. So I moved my workouts to midday. Now I can control that, okay, but I also work really hard on the weekends. I don't feel guilty about working out in the middle of the day. I used to do it in the morning, where I would never get interrupted. I would never miss a workout, because I would go right into the workout before basically most people were out of bed. But what I noticed was I get more done based on energy, proficiency. I'm just more creative. This is years of tinkering at 6 a.m., at 5:30. So I reserve those slots whenever I don't have a live coaching session in the middle of my day for creation instead of working out on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Now that's typical, not always, right? Remember, this is a template. This is how I start. Okay, I know that there's usually some reviewing I have to do. Then I love to do my coaching sessions in the afternoon. Are there people who are in France who don't want to be up at 1 o'clock in the morning? Yeah. So we move those people to 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock, right? But remember, this is the go-to. This is the starter spot that I developed. The skills building that I do. Now, I used to be able to get away with doing skill stuff like during the week, like in those hours, but not anymore. There's too many people who need coaching sessions, and I want to take care of them. And so a lot of my skill building is on the weekend. Okay, I spent 90 minutes yesterday on the bike doing my training, kind of thing. But for illustrative purposes, I want you to know that there's always slots. They're always planned. It's somewhere. It might be on the weekend, or it might be at night, or it might be at my lunch hour as well. And especially if I'm not going out for lunch and I'm home, I might be spending 20, 30 minutes or an hour doing skill building. All right. Then I fill in the rest. I know after I work out and grab a quick lunch, and maybe I take a shower in there, something like that, I'm frosty. Okay, what you're not seeing so far, like the transition between 5 a.m. and 6 a.m., I'm in the Mile Walk Academy system. It's like brushing my teeth. So I go in there, I answer your questions, right? I got people from my job search boot camp. They ask me questions. Got leaders who ask me questions. Got people in the career development programs. They ask me questions. So I go in there and then I look to see what I can get through. And there's a slot there. There's also a slot there somewhere after I get done with my last coaching session. I look in the Mile Walk Academy and I try to take care of as many of the service items as I can. There's a bunch of items like that throughout the day. Obviously, I call Stacy. Obviously, I call Kara. Sometimes we have Zoom meetings. Sometimes I get interrupted with things. But basically, this is a go-to template. You know, I eat dinner usually around 7, and I always try to have happy hour with my wife on Friday if I can. So when she's been home as a teacher, it's been a lot easier. And now she's still home on Fridays, even though she's back at school 4 days. But that's what the starter template for the week looks like. So those previous pages that I just showed you with all those activities all get moved into these 2 pages in my planner where I handwrite everything. Okay, so I want to make sure, hey, I've got so-and-so at 3 o'clock for a coaching session on Tuesday. I have so-and-so at 4:15 on Tuesday. That's tomorrow. I have a 3 o'clock and I have a 4:15. I already have their resumes, everything for most of these throughout the week. Everybody throughout the week who's given me their material to coach them, their paperwork is sitting on my desk. I print it out because I want to take notes on it. Right? I go in my little chair and then I prep and I review. But all that stuff can be done before the week starts so that I'm not scrambling, because each evening as I'm planning the next day, that would take up additional time. So that's what a week would look like for starters. Now, it doesn't always look like that. I'm trying to illustrate for you that I have ideas of when I want to do certain things. You might say, well, Andy, I can't. Between 8 o'clock and noon every Monday, I'm in an all hands on deck meeting. Okay, that goes there, right? Like, okay, so you got to be there, right? It just, you work around it. What other areas in your calendar do you have freedom? So that's what that looks like.